Hi, graduates. I am so excited to be here with you today. I wish it was in person. We are going to talk about some strategies on how to launch your career now that you've graduated. I'm Heidi Torres, aka HR Heidi. I'm the talent acquisition manager for Connect Recruiting. During the pandemic, I wrote a book called The CEOs of Networking: Connecting, Engaging, and the Opportunities to Serve. New Degree Press is publishing it this August, so keep an eye out for that. Some of my experience is that I have recruited for the past 10 years, trained, hired, developed employees, and in my spare time, I do other things that align with HR. So I also volunteer as the Pit Crew Volunteer Panelist, which stands for Practice Interview Team. I sit on the Dallas HR's Operation Board as a Student Engagement Committee Director-elect. I'm the brand ambassador for North Texas SHRM, Society for Human Resource Management. And I'm actually going to school too. So I graduated as a non-traditional student with my undergrad, but I'm pursuing my MBA now at West Texas A&M University. And I'm part of their student organization as a president. I'm also on the mission committee chairperson for Grayson County Walk to End Alzheimer's. So all these different experiences is the reason I'm here sharing with you on how serving can turn into career opportunities. We are going to talk about ways to grow your network, how to utilize social media, and the do's and don'ts of informational interview. So it may not be a surprise to you that 80% of the jobs are filled through personal and professional connections. Some reports even say up to 85%, right? Part of the reason that companies often reward their employees for referrals is because they want more people like you, or at least more people like the employees they already have. And someone who is referred is 9 times more likely to get hired than without a referral. So who you associate with does matter. If you associate with hard workers and achievers, their employers are banking on that you will also be that, right? But if you hang out with slackers, those referrals are not going to do you any favors. Now, people refer people for many reasons, even outside of the monetary rewards. I think personally, a lot of people who do referrals do it because they have a giving nature or a giving side. Adam Grant wrote a book called Give and Take, and he talks about givers, takers, and matchers. Now, I hope you're not a taker, but even if you are, takers can learn to be givers, right? And let's kind of define that, right? Takers, they like to get more than they give. I mean, it's within its name, take. Matchers believe in tit for tat. So I do something for you, I expect that you're going to do something for me. And givers, but givers have a totally different mentality. They focus on helping others with their interests. They mentor other people, they share the credit, they make connections, and they help without keeping score. Now, most of us are not all one or the other, right? We tend to be a mix of giving, taking, and matching, depending on the circumstances. Grant says we might be a taker when perhaps we're negotiating salary, right? Because we do want to get paid and we want to get paid well. We might be a giver, or when we mentor someone with less experience, and we might be a matcher with other colleagues that we share the same experiences with. Now, for whatever reason, there seems to be a stigma about being known as a giver. I think people think that if they're known as a giver, it exposes some kind of vulnerability. But that couldn't be further from the truth. In fact, the truth is being a giver is a strength. Some of our greatest leaders in history are known givers. For example, Abraham Lincoln, a giver. Adam Rifkin, the CEO of Panda Whale, a giver, a known connector. Sherry Ann Plessy, principal for Vanguard. Bill Grumbles, he was the HBO VP. Ariana Huffington of Thrive Global CEO, all known givers. Not necessarily giver of money, although I'm sure they have, but they are known givers because they give their time and their expertise. Now, this is actually one of my favorite quotes. The best way to find yourself is to lose yourself in the service of others. And I'm not saying that you have to be the next Gandhi or Mother Teresa. I'm not saying that at all. I do dedicate a chapter in my book on volunteering as a form of networking, and it's my favorite way to network. Now, I know you may think, oh my gosh, Heidi, I don't have time to volunteer. I mean, looking for a job is a full-time job in itself. And you're kind of right. You're right. You're right. It takes a lot of time to look for a job. Uh, but when you're in transition, right, helping others will help you. And here's what I say. Taking time to invest in others is taking time to invest in you because you are worth investing in. And I'm going to explain a little bit more about that. So National Community Service reported that people who volunteer more than 100 hours a year are some of the healthiest people in the United States. It's healthy. It'll help you be healthier to volunteer. Studies show that the act of helping others actually lowers blood pressure. It can fight depression. It can reduce stress. And job seeking is stressful. All of those different things it can do for you helps boost your immune system and promote longer life. Want to get high? Not that kind of high. But Psychology Today said the act of giving may increase the brain's dopamine levels, resulting in what they call a virtual helper's high. So you definitely feel good. Research revealed that volunteering can help boost your confidence, your self-esteem, and even help you find your purpose in life. Adam Grant explained in his book, Give and Take, that 100 hours a year is only 2 hours a week more, 2 hours a week, right? And that will actually increase your satisfaction, your happiness, and your self-esteem. All those levels will be higher by the end of the year. Now, right now, about 25% of the adult population volunteer their time, talents, and energy to actually make an impact. Without them, we would not have the charitable nonprofits. Without volunteers, charitable nonprofits would not be able to conduct their programs, raise funds, or even serve clients that are in need, right? One of my connections, Jeff Morris, he leads Career USA. It's actually an expansion from Career DFW because I'm in the DFW, Texas area. He not only volunteers his time running those organizations, but he actually partners with other nonprofit organizations like South Lake Focus Group, Job Search Solution radio program, Career Search Network, and all of these partnerships actually helps countless of job seekers land jobs. So there's actually, I don't know if you know this, but there's actually a dollar amount, a monetary value that you can put on volunteering. And this can actually help on resumes because on resumes and in interviews, the hiring managers wants to know results, metrics, dollars, amounts saved, dollars earned, profit, all those great things. So there is actually an estimated value of a volunteer work, and that value is $25.43 an hour. So while you may not actually get paid to do it, your time is valuable. Now, on average, people will volunteer about 52 uh, hours a year. And if we think about if we go above that average, just like one extra hour, right? We will actually increase our happiness level. We can be happier. Now, I think it's kind of an interesting statistic is that Bureau of Labor Statistics said that 72% of volunteers only serve one cause or organization. All right. Now, this is where, as job seekers or someone getting ready to go into their career, we can really expand our network by volunteering for multiple organizations, right? So I'm going to share this not because I want to toot my horn, so to speak, but I'm sharing it to prove a point. I am a member of 6 HR nonprofit organizations, and I hold committee positions on half of them, right? Why? Well, because it aligns with my profession. And serving on them actually doesn't significantly increase the amount of time because they're all within the same realm, right? You're killing two birds with one stone, so to speak, by doing multiple things. Um, for example, being on the Dallas HR Student Engagement Committee and being the president of West Texas SHRM means I can share the resources from one organization with the other organization. And I can represent my school as a student membership to my other organization. So I'm not really increasing all that activity time-wise. I'm really doing the same things, right? Now, at the same time, doing this networking actually gives me exposure to those in my field, right? Builds my network, builds my human capital. And because of that, I can honestly tell you that it's the reason that I've landed my past 4 professional roles, all through networking and volunteering. 35% of those surveyed said that the reason they volunteer is to socialize, right? And socialization leads to networking, or as I like to say in my book, net friending. Now, when we think of volunteering, I think we kind of lean towards, oh, we're helping out at the food bank or the homeless shelters. Those are all important. But I don't think we think about volunteering, that nonprofits actually need skilled volunteers and not just manual help. And that's where we're wrong, because they totally need skilled volunteers. And we're missing out on those networking opportunities by not being that skilled volunteer. Deloitte did an impact survey that showed 77% of nonprofit organizations believe that skilled volunteers could significantly improve their business practices, but they need the volunteers to do it. So here, that is a huge opportunity. Now here you see I list some volunteering activities and resources available to job seekers. Now a lot of this is more local, but Career USA is national, and spiritual organizations also need help. And yeah, I don't even think you have to realize that they need help, but they can help you. And you don't even necessarily have to belong in the same faith. In my local area, there is a Jewish community, and unfortunately I can't remember the name of it. I'll go there, but they help everyone. You don't actually have to be Jewish to be able to use the resources, right? Dress for Success is nationwide, and they help women by empowering them achieve economic independence through network support, providing professional attire, and offering different developmental tools. Right. WHERE is actually stands for Women Entrepreneur Resource and Educational Community. So they also help women entrepreneurs. Now, when I started putting others first, and it was not a natural thing for me to do that, it was not something I did naturally. It did allow me to stop saying, hey, you should hire me because I could do XYZ. Instead, it started showing that people should hire me because I can do XYZ. And I did it for multiple organizations, right? Uh, and also, being a part of these organizations built in a commonality. So right then we can start bonding and creating that net friendship because we already share an interest, right? We share an interest in our industry. We share an interest in uh, uh, the research trying to find a cure, and all these different things. Feeding the hungry. We share an interest, and that's a great way to start. During my transition period, right when I was like my senior year before I graduated, I created a couple of different programs to help job seekers. This one demonstrated that I knew HR, right? So when you think about what can you do to help others, think about in relation to your field of study. What is it that you can do to provide value to others, and then do it, right? I share those resources with people when I created the program. So I created HR Heidi's Heads Up, where I share different postings that are available that I know about and different connections if I know who they are posting them. And I did HR Heidi Highlights as a way to highlight people in transition and when I interviewed people for my book for research. Now, we are coming out of a pandemic. I mean, right now, some of it, I don't know if the restrictions are open for everyone. Here in Texas, they are lifting a little bit. And so where you're, being vaccinated and getting out and about, and business is picking up, which means they are hiring. When the pandemic first hit, and when I was graduating my undergrad, we're talking about 15 million people lost their jobs. And the skilled labor market was hit really hard. It became super competitive. So networking and volunteering became more important. Now, I know many of the graduates may not have experience in their chosen field of study, right? So many of my classmates were, bartending or serving as waiters and waitresses while they were in school just to help pay the bills. And that did not necessarily align with what they were studying or what they got their degree in. You may think, well, what are employers looking for? So when you think about that, they're looking for skills that you can apply, right? And volunteering is experience and can develop those skills. So when you're active in your community, you can literally demonstrate those skills. Think about what skills you possess, what skills you want to improve upon, what you like to do, and then research and reach out to those organizations in your industry and see if they need any volunteers. I've never heard a group or organization that says, nope, we're good. We got all the help we need. Never heard of it. So always reach out. Now, I can share by experience that I learned how to navigate Zoom and Microsoft Teams and Google Meets through volunteering, right? Because when I was going to my last year of school, it was in the pandemic, and we had to pivot really quickly on how to use all those different things that I did not use on a daily basis at the time. I also learned how to post engaging content on social media. That skill became very marketable for me and it helped me land my last 2 roles. You also learn how to work with others, time management, problem solving. All of these are ways that volunteering can help you improve your skills and demonstrate them. Now, earlier we talked about how 72% of volunteers serve only one organization. And if that's all you can do, that's fine. Be sure that it's an organization you truly are interested or care about, because that translates sincerity, right? That will come through when you connect with other people. So my family in the past have been impacted by cancer and Alzheimer's disease. And for many years, I fundraised different uh, for different research organizations to help find a cure for them. And this is my 3rd year serving as the mission committee chairperson for Walk to End Alzheimer. And I will tell you that those connections go beyond the organization itself, right? I built friendships, net friendships with people, and they became supporters. They helped me know about different roles that were open. They helped me support my book being published, because we already had that commonality. We already built that trust. We built that relationship. That is what volunteering does, and it will help you power up your career. So I will say, I figure the younger generation is probably a little bit better at social media than the older generation. And it might be more fun to hang out on Instagram and TikTok and Clubhouse. But LinkedIn is the online place to be for professionals looking to grow their network and launch their career. 660 million users on LinkedIn across 200 countries, right? They are literally growing at a rate of 2 new members per second. Crazy. And for every connection you have on LinkedIn, they could potentially introduce you to 400 new individuals. Huge network. There are 90 million senior level influencers on LinkedIn and 63 million decision makers on LinkedIn. So they are actually the ones who hire and fire. They are the ones who make the budgets. They are the ones moving the company forward. And that's who you want to connect with. 30,000 companies on LinkedIn, they use LinkedIn to specifically recruit, and they will post, or they do post, more than 3 million jobs every month. Huge potential there. Get connected. Now, I didn't make a slide for this, but I wanted to share some quick tips on how to improve your LinkedIn profile. So in order to be on LinkedIn, you have to have a profile. And I recommend you get a headshot, preferably a professional headshot. I know those cost money. So you can actually do with a selfie, or with your own phone camera, and just have someone else take the picture of you, take multiple pictures and use the best one. You want to use 3/4 up. There only should be a quarter space from the top and when you crop your picture. And you want your background to be clean, okay? No plants or trees hanging out of, popping out of your head. You don't want closets and doors behind you. You want a plain background. It doesn't have to be a white background. It could be a muted color and something preferably flattering to your own skin tone. And you want to dress towards your industry, professional towards your industry. So if you are in the fashion industry, obviously be high fashion. If you are going to be in a corporate world, a suit would be nice. At least, I should crop up at the top part of your body. So keep that in mind. On your your headline, LinkedIn is a little bit different than your resume. So on your resume, it's your past experiences and probably the role that you're looking for, like you're applying for. But on your LinkedIn, you can actually put the role that you aspire to, right? So not necessarily the role of experience that you had, but the role that you want to have. So if you were an entry level HR person, you could put on your LinkedIn profile HR coordinator, even though you're not already that, but you will be. All right. So those are just some quick tips to do. Oh, and also in your banner, so like you have a banner behind your headshots, your profile picture, pick something that's related to your industry and add your email to it. Your name and email. Make it easy for recruiters to find you and don't have to click too far. Okay. So LinkedIn has a great tool. They're called like a alumni tool. And you can actually search in this little search bar, pop in your school's name, and then it'll pull up their page, the school's page. At the same time, there's a little tab there for alumni. Great way to connect. So start clicking on that. And on this page, it will actually show you how many went to your school, how many alumni went to your school during a certain set of time. And it'll show you where they worked, what locations they worked at, and how many are there, right? So that's pretty awesome. Here is an example in UT's alumni. There's like 1,300 people working at Google. And if you were interested in Google, right there, it tells those different possible connections that you can connect with, their roles at Google. So whatever role you're interested in. So let's say you're looking to find D&I, Shannon Ander there. She could tell you more about diversity, inclusion, and equity. Haley is a recruiter there. So good recruiters are great people to get a hold of if you wanted to find more about. And when you're connecting with them, this gives you an opportunity to set up an informational interview, right? So ask them about their company, see if they are open to connecting with them so you can learn more about the company. But before you do that, you do want to build up some kind of connection, even though you're already at a head start by being an alum. So what's your first bond. Everyone bonds at school and has different school or similar school experiences. But on their social media page, right? Do they have any press releases? Did they post anything recently? Is there something that you can comment on, add value, reshare it? Those little things do get noticed, and it does demonstrate that you took the time to learn about them. So let's say you've done that, you kind of engaged with them. Now you're trying to set up that informational interview, offer to buy them coffee, kind of sweeten that deal. And if they say yes, you want to be sure that it's no more than 20 to 30 minutes, right? Because they're going to be super busy, right? And we want to be respectful of that. So make sure you keep it to that time frame. As you're preparing for the information of the interview, so let's say you got that date and set up and that time set up, think about the 5 questions that you want to ask them. What are the 5 things you want to learn about? The art of asking the right questions means researching that target employee and make sure that they can answer it for you. Hopefully you're reaching out to someone who loves their job or their company, or even has a very specific role there. And you understanding that role will help you ask the appropriate questions. Okay, so now you got your questions ready. You're going to the informational interview. When you walk in and you shake their hands or bump elbows, depending on how physically distancing we are trying to be at the time, please recognize and acknowledge that they are doing a favor for you, right? They're taking time out. And so you want to express their gratitude for taking the time out and helping you learn more about the company or the role. Now, during the informational interview, I like to use the 80-20 rule, right? Let them talk 80% of the time and you talk only 20% of the time. That 20% should only be about asking questions and getting clarification from them, right? So, how did they get where they are, right? What led them to get into that industry? Um, what are the best things about their job? These kind of things, and let them talk because people want to talk about themselves, right? And that's how you're going to get the information that you need. Now, I will say this is a little tip on how to engage or keep them engaged is I suggest using their names a few times throughout the interview, right? It's a scientific fact that people love to hear their own name. Now, don't use it in every sentence, but think about it this way. Have you ever been out in public and you heard someone shout out a name and it sounded a lot like yours or it was yours and someone else had the same name and you looked around and were like, what? And it's because it caught your name. You heard your name, it caught your attention. Same thing in a conversation, right? When you hear your own name, it reinforces a mirror image of yourself and you pay attention. So that's what you want to do with the other person. You want them to pay attention to you and share what they are talking about. So you drop their name every once in a while. It will make you seem more engaging. Before you leave that interview, make sure you thank them. And again, shake their hand, do the elbow, bump, whichever y'all are comfortable with. Um, you thank them at the beginning, you thank them at the end. Now you need to follow up, right? And follow up with a thank you because gratitude never goes out of style. And you want your gratitude to have a personal touch. So after the interview, mail them a handwritten note on that day because by the time it gets there, a couple of days will pass, it'll show up and it actually means something. I still have the thank you notes that are sent physically mailed to me. And if you met them at the place of work, you know their address, their work address, right? Now, let's say you don't have the physical address or for some reason you can't send a handwritten note. An email is fine, but a handwritten note is still the golden standard. If you send an email, do it within 2 days, okay? But don't do it 10 seconds after you left the building. That's just not, that doesn't show any sincerity when you do it that way. However you send the thank you, be sure to reference your time together and share what you learned, right? Share what you are going to do with that information because that proves you actually gained something from their meeting and their time. I should backtrack a little bit here. During your informational interview, if they didn't automatically bring up someone else that you could talk to, that is a perfect time before you leave to ask them, who else should I reach out to? Who do you recommend that could give me more information on this role or in this industry, right? What you don't want to do is ask for a job. That is not the time or place to do that. And they may not, it would put them in a very awkward position because they may not have anything available or, maybe you're not qualified. But that's what hopefully the informational interview is helping to help you find out. But you don't want to put them in that situation where they feel backed up in a corner. So don't ask them for a job. All right, so I'm sharing some resources here. This is where I got a lot of my research from. As I said at the beginning, I'm with Connect Recruiting. I'm the talent acquisition manager, and I help find jobs for you. So if you're looking for a job and you're in Texas, I can help you. If you have any questions, because I know we're not in person and as much as I wish we were, if you have any questions, please feel free to reach out to me. Here's my email, CEO of networking at hrheidi.com. You can also sign up for my newsletter to find out more about how to get a copy of my book at hrheidi.com. Please feel free to reach out to me on LinkedIn. I mean, I'm there at hrheidi-torres. Want to find out more about details? Get in touch with me, find out what I'm going on, different job postings. You can find me on Twitter, Instagram, and Facebook. And if you want to check out those videos I was telling you about, you can subscribe to my YouTube channel. Thank you so much. It's been a pleasure. Congratulations on graduating. You got this.